Hello, I'm Ashley Applegate, and welcome to KWI on the Couch. Today we're joined by Zach Striefsky. Zach, tell us where you're from.
I'm from Forest City, Pennsylvania.
Okay, so how far is that away from Flemingsburg, Kentucky, where KWI is located?
That's about 9.5, 10 hours.
9.5, 10 hours.
Yep.
All right. So I'm sure you drove past a few other welding schools on your
Yep.
way here. What made you decide to make that 9-hour drive and come to KWI?
Well, we were looking around, me and my parents, and we were just looking at different schools. And the school I went to back home, they were sending students down here for the competition, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to try out this school. And I didn't want to go too far west and be too far away from home, so I picked in the middle.
Okay. All right. So a couple things there. You mentioned sending some students to a competition. So your school back home, did you compete in things?
Yeah, we competed in Skills USA, which is pretty much there's a couple teams. Which is individual welder, fabrication, and there was a third one, but I can't remember what it was.
Okay, all right, yeah. So different states do different things. Sometimes they'll have sculpture welders for Skills USA, and sometimes they'll have Welding 1, like in Kentucky, beginning welders. So made it all the way to that state level. Do you think those competitions helped you in the long run as far as how many people were there and that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely got the nervousness in you to, if I screw up this weld, then my whole team's gonna fail.
Okay. Yeah, and it's kind of like that on some of these jobs that we hit. You know, if you make a mistake on the weld, you may not get the job.
Yeah.
You make a mistake while you're on the job, you could be tossed off or cost someone lives or make your company really look bad. You mentioned that your school was sending some people to the KWI contest, so hey, that's coming up in the next few months.
Yep.
That KWI contest where we hold, invite all seniors nationally to come in and compete for that. Do you think that is going to be an important contest, and knowing what the contest is with that horizontal 60-10, 70-18 and vertical 60-10, 70-18, what advice would you have for someone who is preparing for that right now?
I'd definitely practice on not being nervous about anything. You get there, you know what you're doing, you get it done. You don't want to think twice about it.
Okay. All right. So coming into KWI, you started off flux core welding and you moved through stick welding and on into pipe welding, and now you're starting to take all these various certification tests. What was the one test that you probably struggled with or were most nervous about?
Definitely my stick out monster, getting that 60-10 root in, and definitely trying to get enough reinforcement on the backside.
Okay. All right. So that stick out monster, do you all your stick welds done with your right hand, or how's that work?
Well, at first it was, I'm left-handed, so I'd run it all left-handed, and then I'd get to my right-hand side, and it'd be all over the place. So I took a step back. I cut some pieces of metal, and I did a little padding with my right hand to get it down before I could go on and take that monster.
Okay, so KWI requires all the pipe tests to be ran half with your right hand and half with your left hand. So did that right hand finally become as good as your left hand?
I'd say now, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So how many hours a day typically were you at KWI?
We were there 8 hours, and you'd stay over and get what you needed to get done, 10, 12 hours, 16-hour days.
Okay. So all that additional training time cost anything or free of charge?
Not a thing. Free.
Okay. Good. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. It's like being able to go back to the buffet and get a second dessert without having to pay for that extra piece of apple pie coming in. KWI tries to bring in things from the outside world. Did you ever get an opportunity to work with any of the simulators there?
Yeah, me and another student got to brother-in-law in the simulator, and that was definitely difficult. We struggled a little bit with it, but we definitely got it at the end.
Okay, so when you're saying brother-in-law, for someone who's a non-welder tuning in, what does that mean?
Well, one of you weld one side and the other one welds the other side.
Okay, so you transition that onto a job, and if one guy's weld fails, then yeah, you're going to have to do some repair work
Yep.
on that if you get the opportunity to stay on the job.
Yeah.
So what would be your dream job? What's your plans going forward?
I'd like to be a pipeliner, possibly get into the union, and eventually be on that 100K wall.
Okay, all right. So you're talking about unions. KWI is a unbiased school. So we have students who graduate into the union and students who do private sector work. Are you referring to like the 798, the downhill pipeline crowd? Yeah, so we've had a few students that have went directly into that line and got that opportunity for you. Tell me about your family business. So I hear your dad runs a company or works for a company?
Yeah, he works for a company back in Pennsylvania that does natural gas and pipeline work.
Okay.
And he's been working there a long time, and he's a superintendent. So hopefully he could help me out getting my first job.
Yeah, well, it can't hurt to know somebody, and especially can't hurt when that person you know is a family member. So I think that puts an important outlook on training. You could have probably went right into a job, but I think you and your family felt like getting a good regimen of training and certification behind you was important.
Yep.
So more so than just welding, what other credentials have you earned at KWI?
I've earned my CPR, and we did a Basic Plus and TWIC, the CCO, rigger and signal. There's just so many more.
Okay. Yeah, so the OSHA training, the MSHA training is involved, your NCCER, pipe fitting and boiler making training. And all those things are going to come into making you a well-rounded individual once you get out here into the industry. Speaking of, you mentioned your dream job was to be on the pipeline. Hey, the industry needs 300,000 welders nationwide in the next few years. So what if that job's not available? You gonna stay here on the couch, or what are you gonna do?
Well, all the certifications that we've gotten at KWI, I'd be able to use them and apply them in other job fields and doing other things other than just pipeline.
Yeah, so it's a two-way street. There's jobs available. KWI has your back, in case you need extra support. That lifetime brush-up is going to come into key. Do you ever see someone come into KWI for that brush-up and get a chance to sort of pick their brain and talk to them a little bit?
They have a lot to say about other than just being in school, all the other things in life that happen, and sometimes that something doesn't go out the way you want it to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So demographically, someone who's fresh out of high school, is everybody at Kentucky Welding Institute right out of high school like yourself?
No, there's a variety of different people there. There's fresh out of high school to middle age, 50 years old.
Okay. Yeah, and then that welding skill varies. So if you were looking at someone who had never welded before, and they're thinking about, man, what kind of career do I want? How are you going to convince that person to be a welder? What's the most rewarding thing?
Definitely knowing that if it looks good at the end of the day, saying that was my weld. That looked really good. Yeah.
I think pride in your craftsmanship is always going to come in. All right. Well, Zach, I want to appreciate you coming in, taking your time. We're proud of the things that you've accomplished and the things that you will accomplish. Thank you guys for joining. I'm Ashley Applegate with KWI on the Couch.